What if you could become legally untouchable? It's a pretty wild idea, right? Well, today, we're going to dive into a course that claims it can teach you exactly that. We're breaking down their actual enrollment documents to see the incredible promises they make, the secret curriculum they teach, and yeah, the very unusual price of this supposed power.
And bam, right out of the gate, this is the hook. They're not just offering a remedy, but the single most powerful one in the entire system. That is an incredibly bold claim. So, what exactly does this ultimate power let you do?
All right, so what does this ultimate power actually get you? What are we talking about here? Well, the documents lay out a whole list of some pretty life-altering abilities.
You know, what really jumps out at me here is how absolute this language is. It doesn't say better defended or more prepared. Nope, it says untouchable. This is really the core promise, a kind of total invincibility inside the legal system.
And the specific claims are just as huge. I mean, we're talking about wiping out any debt, getting rid of any court charge, civil or criminal, and completely settling your tax issues. It even promises you'll learn how to stay out of what they call the matrix.
Okay, so that's the what. But what about the how? How in the world do they claim to make somebody untouchable? Let's dig into this secret curriculum they're offering.
So the how-to is basically this 4-step toolkit. It kicks off with something called the art of inquiry. Then you get access to what they call the best court scripts. You do live role-playing. And finally, you learn to create your own extremely powerful documents.
And then it gets into some, well, pretty specific stuff, like these private member associations, or PMAs. According to these documents, these are tools that let you operate privately and, in their own words, avoid tyrannical measures.
So what do you actually get when you sign up? Well, it's not just the classes, it's a whole package deal. You get the live sessions plus the recordings, a huge library of study materials, ongoing advice, and lifetime access to all their future courses. Plus, you get into a private Telegram group.
All right, you've seen the promises, you've seen the curriculum. That leads to the big question, right? What does all this secret knowledge actually cost?
And here's where it gets really interesting. You won't find a price tag in dollars or euros or any kind of standard money. The whole transaction is a bit mysterious. So, what do you have to hand over for this education?
The answer? 1. Just 1 troy ounce of bullion silver. That's it. That's the entire price for lifetime access. I mean, paying in precious metals, that tells you a whole lot about the philosophy behind this whole thing.
And the sign-up process is just as unique. You can pay with gold, silver, or crypto, but the most crucial step is signing what they call the covenant. And get this, the document is super specific that you can't just sign it. You have to provide a handwritten autograph, which they say is completely different.
Okay, so every single student has to sign this covenant, which means for this last part, we're going to do what you should always do. We are going to read the fine print. And this is the first thing you see, boom, right at the top, in all caps. So even though they're teaching you how to handle any court situation and become untouchable, the covenant makes it crystal clear that none of this is to be considered actual legal advice. And whoa, the rules they put on students are super strict. You can't record anything, you can't share it in public forums, and you definitely can't share it with any government agencies. It even flat out bans anyone who works for the government in a professional capacity from even taking the course.
So what happens if you break these super secret, super strict rules? Well, as you might guess, the covenant spells out a very, very specific consequence. 100,000. But not dollars. Oh no. 100,000 UK Mint £2 silver bullion coins. That's the penalty for each time you break a rule. And the contract says you can't even fight it. It's totally uncontestable. Wow.
And really, this slide just sums the whole thing up, doesn't it? On one side, you have this absolute promise. Be prepared for any situation. And right next to it, you have the disclaimer. No guarantee of results. It's a real head-scratcher.
Oh, and it doesn't stop there. The fine print just keeps on giving. The student is responsible for everything. The instructor has no licenses and can't be held responsible for anything that goes wrong. The sale is final after 72 hours. And maybe my favorite part? The instructor can change this entire agreement on you with just 3 days' notice.
So the whole thing wraps up with this really powerful quote from Scripture. Our people perish for lack of knowledge. It frames this whole course as absolutely essential, maybe even life-saving information. But after seeing all these huge promises and then all this contradictory fine print, it really makes you wonder, right?
What kind of knowledge is really being sold here? And more importantly, what's the real price you pay for it?